was the first archaeologist? Okay. Who was the first archaeologist? Now, you can have 1,000,001 answers to this one. Every textbook will say something a little different. Every professor will say something a little different. What you hear from me ain't gonna be the same as what you hear from someone else. Really, who was the first archaeologist? Who knows? The first time that somebody dug into an ancient city 2,000 years ago, was that the first archaeologist? Was the Homo erectus proto-person from 1.5 million years ago, when they picked up an ancient stone tool artifact of their ancestors? Was that the first archaeologist? Who knows? What I can say is who was the first archaeologist in the modern era? And by modern era, I would say like 1880s and onward. Because as what we've seen before, really before then, you have two camps. You have the scientists over here doing their science thing, and you have the adventurers over here doing their adventuring thing. And the two are going to kind of come together in about 1880. I'm not here to say that January 1st, 1880, archaeology is born, but it's in that vicinity of time when a modern archaeology takes place. And it would make sense. Think of technologically what's happening at this time. You're getting cameras for the first time, the film camera that can record things much better than before. You're getting better access to travel than you did before. The world's kind of opening up a bit. You've had these scientific revolutions that have brought us kind of to a modern science. Darwin's book is published in 1859, so that's only 20 years before or so. So the stage is set for archaeology as it's basically done all the way up until today. My favorite vote for the first archaeologist, if I gotta go with one, I'm going with General Augustus Lane Fox Pitt-Rivers. Doesn't everyone know General Augustus Lane Fox Pitt-Rivers? I'll give you a guess as to the nationality of General Augustus Lane Fox Pitt-Rivers. I know. British. Now, you don't know the name of General Augustus Lane Fox Pitt-Rivers, and actually from now on you can just call him Pitt-Rivers and we're all good. Pitt-Rivers is going to be working in this time, in like the 1880s, and he's working in England. That's why he's not really a household name. Some of these other guys, they work in Egypt or the Maya area, these sort of great civilization ones, and you may have heard their names. Pitt-Rivers, not so much, but it's because he stayed in England. He worked on archaeological sites there. He did work at Stonehenge a little bit, but he worked at others that are not as well known. Why I give this guy credit is because this is one of the first times that you see a scientific process done in archaeology, where you see digging that's planned out, that general part of his name, a very military organized way of excavating the past and recording it as well. So Pitt-Rivers, yeah, maybe he doesn't have a GPS unit like I do. Maybe he doesn't have like a laser transit like I do. Maybe he can't look up stuff on Google Earth. But ideologically, the way that he melds science to a quest for the story of the past, I'm gonna vote for him as the world's first archaeologist, if we must have one. Right along with him, we have one or two other early cast of characters. The other one is Flinders Petrie. Flinders Petrie works in Egypt, 1880s as well. Actually, Flinders Petrie and Pitt-Rivers knew each other. They worked at Stonehenge for a little bit together. But Flinders Petrie went onward to Egypt. And he's, I think you could say, the first scientific archaeologist in Egypt. Gone are the lootings of Giovanni Belzoni, and in its place, a more reasoned recording way of doing archaeology in Egypt. Flinders Petrie is most famous for what's called seriation. Seriation is recording stylistic change through time. So we as human beings have many things that change style over time. Like the pants you're wearing. Do you notice that your pants look a little bit different from your parents' pants? And you know your grandfather's pants look a little different too. Yeah, so we know that style changes over time. You can look at pants, you can look at automobiles, whatever. In modern society you have this. People of the past, same deal. So what Flinders Petrie did is he very carefully excavated at sites in Egypt, and he found broken pieces of pottery, potsherds, and he looked for the stylistic changes over time, and he found enough of them, and he found them carefully, that he could go, in the lowest levels, in the earliest times, you had this kind of pot. And then as we went forward, the style of this pot changed. It got wider. And then as we went forward, it actually got more of a narrow neck. And then as we went further, it got a much wider base, whatever. Right? It changes style over time. And once you have a master list of the stylistic changes over time, you can use that list at other Egypt sites. And when you find pottery there, you can put it into where in time each site belongs. You don't need carbon-14 dating. You don't need any high-end dating like this. You can do basic stratigraphic dating, basic seriation that gives you an older than, younger than date. It's like, this pottery here, I know it's older than this one, but newer than this one. And it gives a great overall feeling for the timeline of, in this case, ancient Egypt. But it works anywhere. So that's Flinders Petrie's big gift. Finally, I guess we could say the last of the sort of first archaeologists is sort of the next generation from this, and we're going to go with Howard Carter. Howard Carter finds King Tut. Howard Carter finds King Tut in 1922, and that has its own amazing story of discovery. But I think that first flush of modern archaeology, of a scientific archaeology, you kind of see that come full circle with Howard Carter and his excavations, both with the looking for, and then the discovery, and then the slow, methodical recording of King Tut. He took 10 years to methodically and slowly and carefully record King Tutankhamun. Did a fantastic job. So that really brings us into the modern era. Those three players, I think really help us understand, hey, science and sort of adventuring has kind of met, and we're not just finding artifacts to sell or finding artifacts to show. We are uncovering the past and learning the story of the past, using the scientific method to help us out.